Ladies and gentlemen, today we have another multi-family property. This time we're in Ocala. We have a brand new construction duplex with a two on each side. We're priced under $400,000, specifically right around the $387,000 mark. If this is our first time meeting, my name is Joe Denny. I'm a Florida realtor and mortgage broker. With one credit pool, I'm able to shop up to 61 different lenders to kind of get you an opinion on what financing looks like. And on this channel, we're doing all things real estate throughout the whole state of Florida. New construction, resale, investment properties, well, mainly new construction. And I'm on a mission to find some unique properties with fences, multifamilies, possibly properties with pools. So subscribe to the channel if that's what you're looking for, some Central Florida content. And if you're looking to buy a home, I got my QR code somewhere on the screen, as well as in the description. You'll find my link to my calendar and my phone number and my VIP list. My VIP list is a way for you to get properties like this sent directly to you if you're not ready for a phone call. You just put the criteria of what you're looking for and some contact information, and I'll send you some properties as soon as I can. And if you're looking for the home tour of this property where it's just a silent walkthrough, then I have another channel where you can find the same property there, and it's a much shorter video. It's not going to be the 20, 30, 40, 50-minute video. And if you're a first-time home buyer and you want to know about the home buying process, I have a webinar that I'm doing. It's in the description as well. And let's get started on this home tour. All right, let's start with the outside. So you're gonna have all this space here for parking. We're not on a paved road, so you have like a dirt road out here. We're about like 5 to 7 minutes from like the gas station. I'll go over later in the video all the numbers, the breakdown, down payments, closing costs, rental estimates. I'll go over where we're at towards the end of the video and what's around here, some of the employers in the area, and all that good stuff. But first, let's knock out this home tour. It's currently 6 p.m. and let's see if we can get this done before it gets dark. So let's start with the outside. So it's a duplex with two on each side. They have a fence. Well, that's not entirely fenced, but there's one panel or 4 panels, I guess, right here that kind of separates the two properties. So you'll have some privacy. All you got to do is, if you wanted to, finish off the fence, and then you'll have it like fully fenced in. This is where the property line. This is what your property looks like. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers. We just hit 3,000 this morning. Super pumped about that, helping a bunch of families. I've been doing real estate for 6 to 7 years. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York. Sold hundreds of homes in my 6 to 7 years. And now I do mortgages as well for like the last 2 years. So I'm able to truly help clients from start to finish in every aspect of that process. You'll see right over here, you're gonna have the wells right over there for the water. Let's step inside the units. Let's start with number 1. We're inside unit number 1. You're gonna have the vaulted ceilings. It's kind of like an open floor plan. There's like a bonus room back there where it leads to the backyard. The actual dimensions of your living room here are gonna be 17.18 by 14.55. And you got the ceiling fan right over there. And you kind of got some crown molding going on on those cabinets over there. This could be a perfect investment property, or that property where you live in one side and rent out the other. They were able to keep the costs low. You got some like basic countertops here. You can always upgrade that later if you want to. Air handler right there. You got this room here, so electrical's right there. So not sure what we can really use this room for. You got some doors there. You do have space for the laundry right over here next to the water heater. What I would do is I would probably put like, hear me out. So like a counter, maybe, I don't know if you could put cabinets next to electrical. I don't really know. Let me know in the comments what you would do with this space here, because it looks too open to me to not do something custom to it. And then this will be access to your backyard right through here. You'll kind of see the fence that's right there. And now let's check out your rooms. All right, so in your first room right over here, we're gonna be at 10.67 by 12.26 as far as dimensions. And I really like the doors that open up like this versus those folding doors. I got 5 kids and it makes me nervous that they'll pinch their fingers. This room here is gonna face the front. So if you park your car there, you can kind of see that. You kind of just need to add some blinds here. That's the only thing. And then as we go down this hallway, okay, we got some storage there. We got bathroom number 1 of 2 right here. You got the tub. Same basic countertops here. They were able to save cost on building the property by doing that. So the functionality behind this being a multifamily is a major plus. So you can always upgrade those countertops later. Second bathroom right over here, kind of similar to the one that you just saw. I kind of like how they're not in the actual rooms, they're separate from the rooms. All right, so this is gonna be your primary suite, I would say. It's definitely the bigger room, 11.48 by 15.13 for this one. All right, let's head out and go to the other side. Probably gonna look the same. It's just gonna be like flipped. All right. So unit number 2. By the way, stick around till the end because we're gonna talk about the numbers, where we're at, the employers, what's going on with the property, the size, all the square footages, all the important things. And we have investment loans for properties like this, where if your debt to income is too tight, we're able to get it done very strategically with non-QM products. So if you're thinking of becoming a landlord or buying a property like this and you're cash heavy, but tax returns or have a lot of write-offs, I might have a solution for you. So just as expected, we have a mirror flipped image, floor plan, blueprint of the other side. So it's just, I guess, the wall dividing the two properties there, and it looks spot on, identical to what the other one looks like. This is gonna be that same miscellaneous area, which I'm not sure what we could do here, but it feels like I should do something here in this area, like to upgrade it. You have a separate water heater, and then I saw 2 wells in the back, so you should have a separate well access or water access. We are on the other side of the fence now. Would you guys leave it open and not fenced, or would you finish the fence? Chime in the comments. All right, we're back inside your house. Kind of see we got the air handler right there. This is your kitchen. We don't have a pantry. Okay, so we don't have a pantry, so we got to figure out, would you use this space probably to like create a pantry? Because this is where the washer and dryer is gonna go, so I'm not sure if you could put a pantry there. Yeah, so we got to figure out that pantry situation. All right, living room here, very nice size. You got those vaulted ceilings. I don't really like this like square cutout here. I'm sure it had to get done functionality wise for the house to function, I guess. But look at this massive wall. So you could put the TV there. If you like getting creative, you could put like some accents there, look pretty nice. You have your dining room table right over here under that light fixture. All right, let's tour the rest of your home. Small storage closet, kind of like the other one. No carpet in none of the rooms. So if you don't like carpet, this is the house for you. Similar layout with the closets there. Bathroom 1, bathroom 2, and primary bedroom. All right, so let's head to the home studio and let's go over some numbers, processes, paperwork, what the home buying process looks like, some of the next steps, and drop a comment so far if you're like this far in the video. Let me know you watched it. These are super long videos. Subscribe to the channel as well. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers. All right, if you've seen my videos before, you already know we're about to go into like the meat of it all. We're gonna go into the numbers, the process, what to look out for, some paperwork, as well as where we are located. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen on that side to kind of go over that. So we are in Marion County, Northwest. So we're in the Northwest 34482. We're minutes to the World Equestrian Center, downtown Ocala, parks, shopping, dining. What we're going to talk about is some of the monthly payments, breakdowns for investors and for first-time homebuyers and house hackers, out-of-pocket costs, rental income potential, home buying process, a sample income-producing property contract, which is just a regular contract that we're going to put together for this duplex property. So, if I didn't already say it at the beginning, which I think I did, we're at 387. To be able to find a multi-family property anywhere that's brand new construction, it's going to be really hard, but to find it at this price is just amazing. Now the roads aren't paved yet, so you got to start thinking with that outskirts mentality. Like sometimes the growth happens in the outskirts, so it's a little bit rough to get out there. It's like a little bit of sand, but I made it fine. Four total, which is 2 beds per unit, 4 bathrooms total, 2 bathrooms per unit, with a total of 2472, 1236 on each side, with a 0.35 acre lot, which you saw that there was a fence in between both properties. Built in 2024, it's been on the market for a few, so it was recently completed in 2024. You have 2 separate wells and septic systems that are individually metered, a builder warranty of 1 year and a 210 warranty as well. No HOA, no restriction. So what I would probably do is finish out the fence on each side so you can have it fenced in. Not sure how much that would cost, but You're gonna have the tile flooring throughout, so there's not gonna be any carpet. The stainless steel kitchen appliances with the open floor plan and split bedrooms. They all have their own laundry room, which is pretty cool. And if you saw, like when I was in the house, there was like that space between the laundry room and like, it was just a space there where the electric meter was at, the power meter or whatever, or the, not the meter, like where the breaker was at. But great for long-term rental or owner, occupant / investor, and then rent the other side, or just bring your family with you, or if you're a successful realtor, live in one side and build the office on the next one. I guess. Estimated taxes and closing costs. Now, taxes are very tricky. When you're buying a home, the taxes currently are on the dirt value only, which is there hasn't been a reassessment of what the property is. And you should reach out to the tax collector directly. I am not a tax expert. I use the Marion County Property Appraiser Tax Collector websites to kind of simulate what they look like. And on a regular single family primary residence, it floats around 1.45, 1.5%. But if you're buying it as an investment property, you're not going to get the homestead exemption. So I would reach out to them directly to figure out what the taxes are. So in this estimate here, I'm about to give you, I'm putting 468. Now, when it comes to buying a house, I'll show you guys on the contract what some of the fees are, like what fees you're paying for. But I like estimating around 4% for like the closing costs as far as like buying a property. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna estimate around 468 a month for taxes and 476 for like closing costs. Here are some of the employers in the area. So these are some of the bigger employers in the area. So you have HCA Florida, Ocala, Lockheed Martin, Advent Health, Publix Supermarkets, Walmart Distribution Center, City of Ocala, E1 Emergency Vehicles, RAE Industries, Marion County Public Schools, and Monroe Regional Medical Center. So if you and someone else are trying to get together and buy this property together as like co-signers, and you're like, hey, we need jobs as well, boom, there go the top employers in the area, in case that is helpful to you. These numbers estimates are as of August. We're going to talk about PITI. When you're breaking down a mortgage, it's broken down into principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And then if it's under 20%, there's something called mortgage insurance as well. There's a very unattractive appeal about mortgage insurance. But did you know that back in the day, you couldn't buy a house with not having 20%? So here comes this idea, this logic of like, how do we get more people into homes while protecting the banks and investors who are loaning this money? And there's a gap between how much some people can save up effectively and how many more houses might be on the market, or how many more new construction we could build, or whatever the case may be. How do we create more buyers? So somebody thought of how do we ensure that gap of like the 2%, 3%, 4%, 5% down, all the way to like the 20%. And that's where mortgage insurance comes in. It's allowing you to be able to buy a home sooner without having to save 20%. Can you imagine trying to save 20% to get into the house because you want to save mortgage insurance? You want to save like 150, 200 bucks a month, and then the rates go up? Can you imagine the frustration of you having a loan estimate of what this would have cost you before the rates went up and what it costs you now? Now, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know when the rates are going to go up or going to go down, but that in that scenario that you're imagining, it could get worse because what if the rates go up, but it could get better because if the rates go down, you can just refinance. So that's a win-win, lose-win. Like, I don't know, however you want to interpret that. Mortgage insurance is designed to help more people afford houses because you're able to like actually put less money down. Now, when we talk about money down, if we're going with an FHA loan, which is 3.5% down, you'll be right around 13,542. Depending on what the rate is, these are just random rates right now. They go up and down every day. If the rate were 6%, you'd be like around $3,000 for this property if you're able to like do an FHA. And that's you living in one side, and then you could possibly rent out the other side to help you offset some of that mortgage. Conventional 5% down, you'd be at $19,345. There'll be the rate, that'll be the monthly payment. 10% down will be $38,690 up front, 6.375. You'll be around $2,900. The most profitable scenario, obviously, without the mortgage insurance, is 20% down, which will be a $77,380. But on top of that $77,380, you also have these closing costs here. So 80 grand plus like 15 grand, you'd be like around 95K to 100K. And then we can work backwards from there, asking the seller for some concessions to help you pay some of your closing costs. So that's my job there, to get you a good deal. Depending on how you buy it, this may or may not be your rate. As a primary residence, yes. As an investment property, the rates are going to be higher. In fact, I also have a loan product where if you have too much write-offs or if you don't have like enough income on paper and you have credit and you have minimum credit of like, I don't know what the scores are right now, but I can get it for you later. I know it's in the sixes, minimum credit, and you have at least 20% down. We have products called DSCR where they won't use your income, no income tax returns, no tax return papers either. And they'll send an appraiser out there to determine the value of the property and determine what it could rent for. And then they have these calculations where if it rents for this much and the mortgage is this much, if that gap is kind of closed a bit, they'll allow you to buy this home with no income verification. And then boom, you got more properties for your portfolio. There are people who are using that loan that are very cash heavy, but they don't want to buy it in cash, obviously. They'll just put like what they can, the 20% down, and they'll acquire multiple properties a year. So that type of loan is really good. Rental income. So I would verify this with like a property manager. Obviously, I'm not a property manager, but it says that you could possibly rent each unit out for $1,300 a month, which is about $2,600 a month. So depending on how much money you put down, this could cash flow, or it could be where you're just holding it, and then as you're raising the rents, it gets better. So this could be ideal for investors or house hackers where you live in one unit and rent the other. Now let's talk about a mortgage tip that some people don't know. And I talk about this a lot in a lot of my videos. Right now we are in August. So if you were in contract in July and closing in August, depending on where in August you close, the bank's gonna prorate the interest that they're going to collect. So closing in the middle of the month, you're gonna save a little bit of money for closing costs because they're only prorating the interest for like the middle of the month to the end of the month. If you're closing earlier in the month, your closing costs are gonna be higher because you're prepaying the prorated interest for the entire month. But here's something interesting. So you close somewhere in August, and then in September, you're not gonna have a mortgage payment. The first one's gonna be in October, and October is when you're gonna pay the interest and principal and everything else for what would have been in September. So you skip a month. You don't skip a payment because the first payment's not due yet, but you skip a month, which is awesome depending on how your timeline is working. You could possibly skip a month there, and that could help out if you are in between like a rental, selling a house. That little break of a few weeks could actually help you out. Let's talk about the actual home buying journey, and I have a quick guide here. Since I'm a licensed mortgage lender, loan officer that works for a mortgage broker, I shopped 61 lenders with one credit pull. And if you're like 6 months out or longer, I would say let's start with the soft credit pull. If you're like 3 to 6 months that you need those keys in your hand, let's go hard credit pull all day. So I would say 3 to 6 hard pull, and then 6 plus soft pull. So, depending on where you're at in your scenario, we want to import your credit scores, your liabilities, review your documents for your income, and we want to paint the picture to the underwriter of like this person's last 24 months, 2 years of finances. I think that it will work for them to pay your mortgage back for the next 30 years. That's what we're gonna do there. We gotta figure out, right? If you wanna be in a temporary agreement, which is a showing agreement. So like if you're just flying into town and you just wanna see a few houses, we have a temporary showing agreement. Or if you wanna be a more exclusive agreement where you're like, hey, I did my research, this guy's good looking, he's the guy. He's the guy that's gonna help me buy my house. You could do an exclusive buyer broker agreement in which you're gonna have buyer protections in there and my personal guidance. And the way that I like to start all these interactions with all these potential new clients is sending properties. A lot of the ways that people interact with me right away is by starting off on the VIP list. So they click on the QR code or they go in the description and they fill out their criteria on what they're looking for. And on my home search site, which is a modern home search site, I'll basically start sending properties to them. Now, they could favorite the ones that they like and unfavorite them as well. And in the top right, they'll have like a portal. I'm able to see that as well, which is awesome because if you're flying into town, I can just pop in a day or two before you come in and I can just basically see which properties you favorite, pick 5 to 10 of them, and boom, we can start scheduling some showings. Super effective way to work together. Once we identify which property you want to go with, we have to figure out contingencies and protective clauses, how much of a deposit you're gonna put down, and it all has to be put into writing. This is not like in the movies and in the TV shows where it's like, hey, we wanna buy a house. Hey, how much do you want off? You want 40K off? Hey, we want $80,000 off. Watch, they're gonna meet me in the middle. Hello? Hello? No, it's not like that. We actually have to put these offers in writing, and there's different ways to get deals. This is my take on that, on this, right? If you have limited cash or you want to hold your cash, ask for concessions. Why would you ask for a $10,000 discount? That could be like 50 bucks off per month because it's 10K over 30 years. When 10K at closing saved in your pocket is much more effective for you. But then you have those clients that are, I don't want to use the word unrealistic, but they're like, all right, ask for like 50 grand off, take 20 off the top, 30 off the back. And I'll try, don't get me wrong, my job is to put in writing what your intentions are, but it's going to be unrealistic. I say pick your battles. Do you want a little bit of discount monthly because of 10K off, or do you want a discount off of the closing costs? In fact, there's strategies that I have that are way more strategic. Think about this for a second. You think that asking for 10K off the price to save 50 bucks a month makes sense, whereas I can strategically figure out how many points need to be bought down for the payment to be lower than that number, possibly even lower than the 50, and it might even be a number less than 10K. See, when you're working with a mortgage loan officer as well as a realtor, there's strategies that you don't think about. That number could be lower. That number could be $6,000 instead of $10,000, and boom, you just got a deal with an even lower monthly payment than you would have had it by just asking for 10K off. So who you work with does make a difference. So I would say, you know, we got to figure that out, what we're going to do with the numbers as far as like writing the offer. We want to make sure, and I'll show you in the contract where these are, but we want to make sure to get a home inspection, and you want to make sure to get the property appraised as well. You want to put all your documents together so that the underwriter can review them and we can go towards a clear to close. Then once we have a clear to close, you're going to sign the final paperwork, fund the transaction, smile like these two, and then we're going to celebrate. Some things you want to look into when you're buying a home in Florida are the new construction benefits, the HOA and CDD fees, and the homestead exemption. But what I want to do now is I want to show you guys where we're at real quick, location wise, and then go over what a potential offer looks like the boring stuff, the contract. So let me go over where we're at. We're in Northwest Ocala, 5489 Northwest 12th Street. That's the actual address. So if we zoom out a little bit, you can kind of see it's right over here in this little section. And you can kind of see the World Equestrian Center is right there. The Ocala Strip is right here, Fort King District, Silver Springs. Some of the other common areas in Ocala are down here, which is Marion Oaks, Silver Springs Shores. You got Ocklawaha over here, and then you got Rainbow Park, Rolling Hills, Rainbow Springs, and then you got the other areas like the Citrus Springs, which a lot of people are now inquiring on that Citrus Springs areas and Beverly Hills. So if you don't know where that's at, you kind of look at the map and you say, look, oh, it's right here. This is Beverly Hills. This is Citrus Springs. Homosassa is right there, Spring Hill. So as far as like, this is where we're at. So now let's look at some of the points of interest. So these are some of the airports. So Gainesville has an airport, which Ocala actually has an airport. So there's a small airport in Ocala. All right, so Gainesville Airport is around 55 minutes away. So Ocala Airport is going to be 7 minutes away from there. And then you're going to have the Orlando Airport, about an hour and 22. Tampa Airport is going to be, you're going to be at an hour and 36. So that's the Tampa Airport. But now let's talk about some beaches. So let's say Daytona Beach. I'm not really a big beach guy. So I'm not an expert on where all the beaches are. So an hour and 52 minutes. And then in the other direction, let's say you want to go to Clearwater. You have about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So St. Pete Beach is going to be 2 hours and 8 minutes. So St. Pete Beach, Clearwater, pretty well. They're right there. They're next to each other. Not sure if there's any beaches up here. There's a bunch of beaches over here on this side. So in about 2 hours, you could be at the beaches. What about grocery stores? So 344. Sorry. So 34482. Grocery. So Key Food down the street. I do know that you have Target within 5 miles right down the street. There's Walmart's, Publix, Winn-Dixie's down the street as well. So you have the Key Food. There's another supermarket called, I think, Hacienda, somewhere over here somewhere. It looked like a pretty popular place as well. So grocery within 10 to 15 minutes. You want to go to the movies, you have two options. You have the Epic Theater, which is about 15 minutes away with traffic, and then you have the Regal as well, which is like another 12 minutes or so. So I would recommend going on Tuesdays. They have like discounts on Tuesdays at the Regal, where you could pay like I think like $6. I think you have to have the Regal app to do it. And there's a quick little life hack: don't buy it in the app. If you buy it at the concession stand, you save like a few dollars. So yeah, I found that out recently. So movie theaters within 15 minutes. You got the Crumble Cookie down the street. You got the Tesla chargers. You got a mall. You got a Paddock Mall right down the street as well. So within 14 minutes, you're at the mall. And you have a trampoline park for the kids, Sky Zone. And then they have a Chuck E. Cheese not too far from you, which is around 12 minutes. Bro, literally, when people tell me like, oh my God, there's nothing out there. And then you take a drive out there, and then yeah, driving there, the highways, you just see cows and like Jeepers Creepers on the other end and like a lot of weird stuff. And then you get there, right? And then you're like, okay, well, the house is here, but there's not much happening. And then you drive for like 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then you see everything's there. The Best Buy, the Walmarts, the Five Guys, the Chipotles, the Chick-fil-A's, Spanish supermarkets, Spanish restaurants, all different ethnicities, different restaurants, so much dining, entertainment, so much to do, but with prices that are so affordable. You can find new construction in the area there for like $220,000. You can't really find that anywhere else in Florida. I mean, I don't know. You probably could. But really good area there as far as like all that goes. Now, let's see how far hospitals are. We got about 5 miles away. We got a hospital. Now, let's say you want to plan a trip to Orlando. Universal's about an hour and 20 minutes. SeaWorld is not too far from Universal, so you'll be at an hour and 20 minutes as well. You want to go to Disney, you're about an hour, 18 minutes. And then let's say you want to go to Legoland, which is about 2 hours. That's pretty far out because it's down there by the Winter Haven area. And what's cool about like the Disney and the SeaWorld and all that is all those parks have annual pass options where if you're a Florida resident, you get really good prices. Like I think Disney for like a Pixie Pass is like $20 or $30 a month. It's like $100 down. And I don't know how much Universal is. I haven't had their annual pass in a while, but SeaWorld is like $10 to $20 a month where you can take your family out. You can have the pass for Universal, SeaWorld, Disney. There's so many things to do in Florida. There's an awesome place in Florida Mall as well called the Crayola Experience. You can do an annual pass there for like I think $30, and you'll be at the Florida Mall test driving Teslas, eating tacos right down the street on OBT. They have a really nice taco spot. And now let's go over what some of the paperwork looks like when you're buying a home. This is going to be the as-is contract, the traditional one that we use. Some of the bigger builders have like their own contracts that they use, but I want to show you guys what a traditional as-is contract looks like and go over it. Now, this is written by lawyers, so we're just allowed to like pre-fill in some of the parts there, but we're not allowed to like translate the contract per se. But I can kind of tell you like how to navigate where I put some of these things here. So we're going to highlight these tiny numbers over here. So sections 1 and 2 is where we're going to put the parties involved in the transaction. So there's going to be a seller and there's going to be a buyer. Sometimes the seller could be one person, more than one person, a company, a trust, sometimes the courts. So many different scenarios on who the seller can be. And then we're going to have a buyer. Your name's going to go here. Something that some people don't know is that you can have multiple buyers and have just one person on the mortgage, but you can have multiple people own the property as well, which is pretty cool. This section here for property description is going to go over, it's going to go over what the address is, and it's going to go over the tax ID and the legal description as well right there. Personal property is very important. There are certain things that are assumed with the sale of the home. And with some of those things, you're going to see like the refrigerator, range, oven, dishwasher, disposal. And what's not included is going to be down here. So some of the things that I've seen over my 6 to 7 years excluded is like, this is the craziest thing, like a Ring doorbell. Sometimes I've seen it where they're excluded and they'll put it there. A specific ceiling fan. So you'll see the home with these awesome ceiling fans and stuff and chandeliers and light fixtures. And they don't want to remove it yet because they're still living there. But they're like, hey, no, we're going to remove that. We're going to put back whatever was there before. They have to put it in writing here. And if you want the washer and dryer, we have to put it in writing here. Because just because it's hooked up at the house doesn't mean the washer and dryer conveys with the property. And the word convey just simply means that it comes with the property or not. So if I'm using fancy terms, I apologize. That's what convey means. So we talk about a purchase price. This is where we're going to put how much you're actually willing to offer. And this is where we're going to put how much of an initial deposit. For a financing deal, 1% is customary. For cash, 10% is customary. But I've seen deals with like $500 deposit, $1,000 deposit. So it's not easy to get accepted those offers, but I've got it done before. This second box will be checked here saying that, hey, the initial deposit will be made within 3 days. The seller's title company will be here. You don't send any money to the seller or to me. The title company holds all the money. And then the financing is going to be here, expressed as a dollar amount or percentage. I usually do percentage, where if you're putting 20% down, this number here is going to be like 80%. If you're putting 3.5% down, this number here is going to be like 96.5%. And then you'll see the balance to close down here. We're going to give the seller some time to accept the offer. I usually do 2 days. But if you're in a scenario, right, where you're like, no, I like these 3 houses, we have to be very, very careful. And there's different strategies in how we can get an offer on all of them, but not at the same time. You don't want to do that. That's unethical. We have a strategy where, okay, you like these 3, which is your favorite one? I start that one first, and I'll put the expiration date for like tonight or something. And then the next one, I'll write it up, and I'll have the expiration date for like tomorrow night. And I'll tell the sellers, hey, I'm just being honest here. There's 3 properties. They really like yours first, but if yours isn't it, they do not want to lose these other 2. And bro, transparency always wins in this business, you know? Because you don't want to put 3 offers out, 2 of them get accepted, and then you look so stupid, me as an agent, where the second agent's like, oh, I'm gonna be on the lookout for your name going forward. And then that affects future families that want to use me. So I gotta be very careful with my reputation on how I do this. This is where the closing date's gonna be at. So the closing date's gonna be here. Then we're going to, and you could pause the video at any point if you wanna like read what the contract says. We are going to talk about one of the first contingencies here, the financing contingency. We're gonna add a contingency that you're gonna get financing within a certain number of days. Conventional FHA, VA, or other, which is like non-traditional products like non-QM, which I have access to. I have a lot of different loan products. Fixed rate, adjustable rate, fixed or adjustable rate, blah, blah, blah. This is gonna outline here something very, 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 very important. So pause and read it. All these contingencies are designed to protect you and your deposit. But at any point, if you fail to mention something, or if you knowingly withhold something, or you're trying to be strategic, like I've heard of scenarios where someone, oh, I don't pay child support, and there's a Zelle coming out of their account every single month, and then when they ask where that's going, oh, it's going to this person. But why that person? Oh, we have a kid together. But that's like child support. Oh, no, I choose to pay that. Can you stop paying that? Well, no, because then she'll take me to court. Bro, that's like, you basically have to include that in your debt to income. That's a consistent debt that's coming out of your account. So a lot of people try to be slick on tricking the banks, and it ends up really bad for them. They lose their deposits. They get pissed off at me. They get pissed off at other people. But if you hold something back from the bank, that's on you when they find it, because they will find it. These are some of the closing costs to be paid by the seller here, and some of the closing costs to be paid by the buyer here. So the buyers and sellers each have their own set of closing costs. And kind of like what I said earlier, I estimated like 4% number. It could be lower, it could be higher, but those are some of the fees there associated with buying a house. Now, this is where we're gonna have who's gonna pick the title company and pay for the owner's policy, which is the seller, right over here. And this is gonna be where we're gonna discuss the home warranty right over here, any special assessments right over here. And then one of the other bigger contingencies that we add to the contract is this one here. If you want to pause the video and read it, the property inspection right to cancel period. This is where we'll put how many days you're going to have to inspect the property by someone professional, not like someone's uncle that wants to jump on the roof and check it out. A professionally licensed inspector to go inspect the property. This is going to have to do here with the walkthrough and the re-inspections. If you want to pause the video at any time, just pause it. Or if you need me to send you a copy of this, let me know and I'll send it to you as well. I want to show you guys some of the sections where we also ask for the closing costs, and where we will put some of the addendums that are added to the contract. And we're almost there. I think it's page 11 or 12. Here we are. An addendum or addenda are one or more documents that enhance or change terms of a contract, or add terms to a contract. So for example, some of the common ones that we use, FHA financing, saying that, hey, I want to do an offer on this property. I'm going to use FHA financing. appraisal contingency. I want to buy the house, but I want to have an appraisal contingency. I want to buy your house, but I'm selling my house, sale of buyer's property. And how I get paid, seller to agree with respect to buyer's broker agreement. So they'll put some respect on my bank account by paying my commission. Additional terms, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't just make up additional terms, but this is usually what we'll put, like if we're asking for closing costs, or we're like, hey, all parties agree, seller will contribute 4% of the purchase price towards buyer's closing costs and prepaids will be right there. And that is the end of the contract. So if you found any value in this, please like the video, share it with somebody, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment if you made it this far in the video, and follow the social media as well to see behind the scenes of all the property home tours. I'm about to put the drone in the air. Well, I already did. I just say that now because now I'm about to put the clip after this one. But I'll see you guys in the next video, and reach out if you need any help buying a